Sorority Incorporated. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Nat King Cole, Ella Fitzgerald, Chuck Berry, Lou Rawls, the phenomenal Aretha Franklin, Kendrick Lamar. When it comes to understanding the power of Black artists in the American musical landscape, there is certainly no shortage of icons from which to choose. Black music adds a layer of diversity to the American identity and constantly responds to the African American experience. In 1908, 16 women, just one generation out of slavery, envisioned a world where every man, woman, and child had equal access to health care, housing, proper nutrition, education, and civil rights. The same call that propelled these young women to be of service to all mankind remains as strong today as it did on that cold January day 111 years ago. With a membership of more than 300,000 Alpha Kappa Alpha women have worked to fulfill the promise of our founders by becoming a strong force for good in our communities, state, nation, and the world. Service to all mankind. It's not only our mantra, it is our signature. Our international program includes 5 program targets that are designed to advance the mission of Alpha Kappa Alpha with excellence and underscore our commitment to sustainable service. Today, we exalt our founders through one of our key targets, the arts. Through the universal language of music, we will tell the Alpha Kappa Alpha story through a journey of the sounds of the African American experience. As Stevie Wonder so aptly crooned, music is a wonderful world within itself. It's a language we understand. As African Americans, we still face racial inequalities and prejudice in our lives, in both forms, old and new. There remains a unifying thread that can be felt in aspects of music and culture, a determination to be heard. We have gone from the plantation to the White House. With esteemed pleasure, we welcome you and invite you to sit back and relax and enjoy Alpha Kappa Alpha through the years, a musical journey. Let's applaud our Alpha.
The genesis of Alpha Kappa Alpha, 1907 to 1919. Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority is the offspring of American history. She was yet in the loins of African women who were forced across the Atlantic Ocean to a strange land that would become the United States of America. From the 16th century until 1865, Black Africans tilled, picked, toiled, cried, bled, and died as North American slaves. The Negro spiritual was born out of the suffering of these slaves, who sang songs from their souls to help them endure their hardships as they labored and yearned for freedom. These songs gave them comfort, hope, and even signaled other slaves about the passage on the Underground Railroad. Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority was conceived just 42 years after slavery was abolished by an act of Congress. In the spring of 1907, Ethel Hedgeman, a junior at Howard University in Washington, D.C., initiated the effort to establish the first sorority for Negro women. She envisioned a special society on campus that would be dedicated to uplifting other college women in the wider community. Hedgeman drafted 8 other forward-thinking students to join her in the pursuit to realize her vision. Anna Easter Brown, Beulah Burke, Lily Burke, Marjorie Hill, Margaret Flagg, Lavinia Norman, Lucy Slowe, and Marie Woolfolk. After much intense preparation and approval from university administrators, Alpha Kappa Alpha was founded on January 15, 1908 in a dorm room in Minor Hall. These bright, talented, and energetic students committed themselves to promoting sisterhood and scholarship and to the mission of service to all mankind. And thus, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority is the nation's oldest Greek letter organization established by college-trained African women. Against the backdrop of pervasive racial and gender discrimination, segregation, and poverty, these young women stood on the shoulders of their strong, resilient ancestors. And for the first 11 years, Alpha Kappa Alpha blossomed. Her purpose became crystallized as members engaged themselves in significant community programming. They surveyed the plight of their people socially, educationally, economically, politically, and by 1919, the members of AKA had addressed many prevalent social concerns of the times. AKA had become the first group to operate a mobile health clinic to help provide equitable and accessible health care to the underserved. AKA was the first Negro fraternal group to offer a scholarship incentive. And Alpha Kappa Alpha members vigorously supported efforts which led to the passing of the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution in 1919, which gave women the right to vote. Alpha Kappa Alpha women, as all American women, were on the cusp of a new day.
As we struggle, 1920 to 1949, as African Americans flocked to northern cities in the 1920s, they created a new social and cultural landscape. The Harlem Renaissance was in full bloom for Negro artists, writers, and musicians. Duke Ellington, Dizzy Gillespie, Bessie Smith, Big Mama Thornton, and Zora Neale Hurston were the entertainers of the era, and the Cotton Club was the place to be. The period from 1920 through the end of the 1940s produced highs and lows in the lives of colored America. Prosperous communities sprang up in Edenville, Florida, and Tulsa, Oklahoma, only to be torched by angry white mobs. That prosperity didn't reach some parts of the Delta of the Deep South. Famine and poor health conditions spread in the Mississippi Delta. In 1935, Alpha Kappa Alpha's international president, Ida L. Jackson, successfully proposed the creation of the Mississippi Health Project, the nation's first mobile clinic through which the sorority sent doctors, nurses, and educators to the impoverished region to provide medical care and educational services to hundreds of sharecropper families and children. That program lasted 10 years, funded by Alpha Kappa Alpha. During this period, the sorority made invaluable strides to positively affect Negro life. Norma Elizabeth Boyd, a founder and incorporator of the sorority, became the driving force in the creation of the American Council on Human Rights, an umbrella organization with other Black sororities and fraternities that lobbied Congress for employment, better housing, and anti-lynching legislation. Such advocacy was needed to counter white mob violence that claimed thousands of mostly Black lives, especially in the southern United States. So now welcome and listen to the jazzy sounds of the Jazz Education Community Coalition Boot Camp Ensemble under the direction of Professor Nicole Yarling. Enjoy.
Remember the gospel sounds of the Clara Ward singers? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. From 1950 to 1969, the women of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority certainly let their lights shine, aka kept abreast of the issues at hand. We responded as agents of change to issues all over the land. Brown versus the Board of Education found racial segregation unjust, aka exercised influence and resources to help make racial integration a must. But the staple singers reminded us, this may be the last time, maybe the last time, I don't know. Together we mourned the murder of Emmett and other Negroes so brutally slain. For Rosa, we boycotted Montgomery buses. Oh, but she was not arrested in vain. We walked and walked and walked right on up to Washington, but we kept it peaceful and calm. We accompanied Martin on his freedom campaign, walking tall and proud, arm in arm. Sam Cooke and Mahalia Jackson sang of change on the way. So we continued our service to all mankind and waited for that day. Meanwhile, Alpha Kappa Alpha made great contributions to the causes of the NAACP for its legal defense and education fund, because this wasn't exactly the home of the free. We swayed to the sounds of James Cleveland's mass choirs, and we sang, we don't feel no waste time. We come too far from where we started from. We definitely have greater laurels to win. As we look towards the future of Alpha Kappa Alpha, we have even greater tasks to begin.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me home, help me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn through the storm, through the night. Lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me home. Precious Lord, you're the one that I build my life on. You're my rock, you're my hope, you are my song. You built me up and made me strong when my way when it went wrong. Precious Lord, here's my hand, now lead me home. When my way grows dim, precious Lord,
which deeply divided this nation. Young people took to the streets. On college campuses at Kent State and Jackson State, students lost their lives when law enforcement stormed both schools to quell protests. Popular artists also protested in song. Freda Payne had a hit single with Bring the Boys Home. The Temptations and Edwin Starr pumped the airways with War. The lyrics still ring out today. War, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. And Marvin Gaye, the sultry sex symbol in Motown, made a plea to end fighting in his classic, What's Going On? Soul music took over the country and brought together, at some level, black and white citizens. Melodies from Motown, the Song of Philadelphia, Stax Records with the Memphis Groove, and Miami with the powerful voice of Betty Wright were celebrated around the world. During this period, the sorority puts its mark on seminal moments in the nation's history. Alpha Kappa Alpha purchased the childhood home of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which is now the home for the MLK Center for Social Change. In the 1980s, Alpha Kappa Alpha members continued their work. We adopted more than 27 African villages, earning Africare's 1986 Distinguished Service Award. Encouraged awareness of and participation in the nation's affairs, registering more than 350,000 new voters. And established the Alpha Kappa Alpha Educational Advancement Foundation. Our task didn't stop there. As the popular McFadden and Whitehead song says, ain't no stopping us now, we're on the move. In the 1990s, our work continued. Alpha Kappa Alpha built 10 schools in South Africa and added the largest number of minorities to the National Bone Marrow Registry. This was a period in which Alpha Kappa Alpha could celebrate and rest. Like Kool and the Gang says, celebrate good times, come on. Here's the poppin' sample again, rendering a medley of soul songs.
I'm so in love with you. Whatever you wanna do is alright with me. 'Cause you make me feel so brand new. And I want to spend my life with you. Let me set aside, baby, since we've been together. I see the crystal raindrop fall and the beauty of it all in the rain run. To see the crystals in my mind when I think of you sometime. And I wanna spend some time with you, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us. Oh, just the two of us. Building no castles in the sky, just the two of us. You and I. We look for love, no time for tears. Wasting water's all that is, but it don't make the flowers grow. Good things might come to those who wait, but not for those who wait too late. We gotta go for all we know, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us. Hey, just the two of us. Building them castles in the sky, just the two of us. You and I. My little bride. Give us a try.
2000s, the new millennium, with excitement and boundless enthusiasm. International President Norma Solomon White of Jacksonville, Florida, ushered the organization of more than 170,000 into the new era under the theme, Blazing New Trails. Our organization remains committed to serving African communities around the globe. International President Dorothy Buchanan Wilson launched AKA 1908 Playground Project to ensure safe play areas for children through the restoration and renewal of 1,908 existing community and school playgrounds. We donated and distributed 1 million backpacks filled with school supplies to students over a 4-year period. Through programs such as Ascend, Emerging Young Leaders, and the Ivy Reading Academies, we've placed greater emphasis on assisting middle and high school students prepare for college. That effort continues with our signature program called CAP. Even though the calendar has flipped, the country continued to party like it was 1999, thanks to the music of the artist formerly and always known as Prince. Now let's welcome Florida Memorial University's pop ensemble to sing I Heard It Through the Grapevine by Gladys Knight and Respect by Aretha Franklin.
2000 to 2019. Even though musical tastes evolved throughout the ages, Alpha Kappa Alpha's mission of service and sisterhood is unchanged. We continue to promote educational excellence no matter what. Our donations since 2000 speak for themselves. In celebration of our 2008 centennial, we donated $1 million to Howard University to fund scholarships and preserve Black culture. Yes, that's amazing, that's true. We coordinated a national Think HBCU campaign under the leadership of the current international president, Glenda Glover. Last year, AKA raised more than $1 million for HBCUs in a single day. Let me say that again. We raised $1 million for HBCUs in one single day. This month, several schools, including Florida Memorial University, received $50,000 in donations. We help our own and we encourage others to join in and help us help ourselves. Another tradition that has survived is art form known as stepping. It is a percussive dance in which the participant's body produces complex rhythms and sounds through footsteps, spoken word, and hand claps. The tradition of stepping is rooted within the competitive schoolyard song and dance rituals practiced by historically African American fraternities and sororities. By this time, musical taste shifted toward a generation of new artists and styles. Boy and girl groups were again the rage, but with a style known as hip hop. We had Belle, Biv DeVoe, Guy, SWV, and En Vogue, and they dominated the airwaves. Cassette tapes and 45 singles and albums went bye-bye, replaced by CDs and MP3 files. Today, teenagers, young adults, and the young at heart stream music via the internet. The top artists today are Rihanna, Ella Mai, Kendrick Lamar, and Cardi B. So now, enjoy the sounds and the beats of hip hop. Introducing Hip Hop Song by Florida Memorial University Pop Ensemble performing Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars.
good-looking pink and green ladies out there and their friends and family. Aren't those kids magnetic? And you're looking pretty jazzy too, I have to say. But we hope you enjoy the musical journey that carried you through 111 years of musical genres that African Americans contributed to the music industry of the United States as well as international. So while on this journey, we hope you heard the sounds that continue to be as Alpha Kappa Alpha made its way through 111 years of service to all mankind. Now, it took a lot to put together this program with these kids in a short period of time, and everybody who helped to make it happen are countless. So I think they're sick of me too. So we're ready to come to a closing point in this journey, but I want you to also pay attention to the names that were on the back of your program, and you get an idea of how many people worked and made this happen. I'd like to also recognize some people who are here that maybe you don't know about. I believe is Kay Sullivan here? Okay, Kay Sullivan is one of our members of Alpha Kappa Alpha, and she's in charge of the cluster that covers most of South Florida, actually the southeastern part. So let's give her a hand. Are there any chapters here, members from other chapters? Would you stand up, please, and let us applaud you? So we can see what chapters do we have here? Excuse me?
Alpha, Alpha, Beta, Omega.
Okay, Alpha, Beta, Omega.
Pi Delta Omega.
Pi Delta Omega. Thank you.
Alpha, Alpha, Beta, Omega.
Oh, that's a very new chapter, isn't it? And when I look over there, I see a familiar face that used to be in the Alpha Beta Omega. Well, we are so very pleased that you have joined us here on our Founders Day journey. And I'd like to also mention to you that we may have in the audience a few greets from another chapter, another fraternity or sorority. So please stand.
Oh, the Pharaoh's in the chapter of 586 Fraternity Incorporated.
Okay. All right. Beta Beta Lambda, all right. And that's can you just repeat that right after? Okay. Oh, another alpha man in the house? Okay. I asked the engineer to take care of all of the lighting to make sure there's lighting on my screen. And I have good lighting and small type. But I want you to know I'm trying not to miss anything that needs to be said here in terms of our helpers who made this happen. The principal, I'm living in the past. The president of Delta Eta chapter, which is co-partnering with us for this Founders Day event. Is the president here?
Yes, she is.
Where is the president?
Outside with the
Hi, Penny.
reception, refreshment.
Okay, thank you. Where are Delta Eta sororities?
They're outside helping.
Okay, I'm waiting for some more. But anyway, I'd like to say special thanks to the countless members of Gamma Zeta Omega, most of whom are here. Thank you. I think I paid this bill. Okay. I'd like to say a special thank you to two very important people. Keith, are you here, Keith Allen? Can you lead the directorship for just a moment? You have left your station. We want to say thank you to the two who run this theater. They do an excellent job. And I'd like to recognize the members of the former Varsity Council. I think you're somewhere in there. Would you please stand and be recognized? The former Varsity Council of Gamma Zeta Omega is responsible for the Founders Day event, but we get a lot of help doing it, but they do a great job. But today, in addition to all the things that we are so thankful for, you may have heard a lot of words spoken today, words that provide a glimpse of Alpha Kappa Alpha's service to all mankind through the years, were scripted to two profoundly gifted writers. And I'd like for you to know who they are. Linda Johnson and Andrea Robinson. The two of them wrote all the words you heard narrated today. Wow. They are okay. There were also two others that I'd like to mention. One is Deborah Simmons, who you heard sing that powerful gospel song. And by the way, the two ladies who just stood up, the writers, they are former members of they are former faculty presidents of Gamma Zeta Omega. So that's very special. And then there's Deborah Simmons, who sang that beautiful Christmas, beautiful song in the gospel category. And I'd like for you to meet her. Come on out. Where are you? All right, here she comes. She also is a former president of Gamma Zeta Omega. That she can do this, and also she has a gift for entertainment. So she made a big thing about what kind of music we would use and who would do it and so on. And she created getting some of the very talented students that you've seen tonight. She had a big part in that, and she's also the graduate advisor for the Delta Eta chapter here on the campus. I'd like to introduce to you as well the unseen voices that you heard. Wouldn't you like to see them? Throughout this musical journey today, our narrators are here, and they're going to walk out and let you see who they are. Come on out. by the name of Sandra Jackson. She took all the scripts that they wrote, and she took all the information that came from the narrators and she put it all together. She put the script together, the entertainment together, and everything, and she put me together. She was working on the whole plan. She made it all stick together, day and night, night and day. We do, and she does that. 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I hear my phone perking and perking. It's her with another message and another question and another thing. I don't know how she goes to work every morning, but doing the work of Alpha Kappa Alpha is tremendous. And Sandra does it all. Thank you, my dear. And now I'd like to introduce to you Tara Pasteur, who is the president of Gamma Zeta Omega and the overseer of clearing all of the bumps on the road as the former Varsity Council struggled to get this occasion in the right gear. So I'd like to introduce her to you. You probably know who she is because most of you in here know her, but she is dynamite. And she too is up day and night and night and day. So I am very pleased to introduce her. She's been helping us along. When we ran into a bump on the journey, she was there to clear the way so we can keep on moving forward. So the president of Gamma Zeta Omega is Tara Pasteur.
Good evening. Before I start, I just would like to say, was that outstanding? Outstanding, yes. It was a musical explosion. I mean, I'm just tickled pink. I just want to say, you know, without my other sisters, I would like all the sisters behind the stage to come out and please give them a round of applause. All of you. Let's give them another round of applause. I could not have done this without all of my sisters. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's not about me. It's about the chapter, Gamma Zeta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Thanks again for all your hard work. It is with much joy and excitement that we come together to celebrate such a purposeful and passionate occasion. Our 111th year of existence in this glorious sisterhood of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Gamma Zeta Omega chapter. I'm so delighted to be here this afternoon. This has been an entertaining program. I loved and adored all of the performances. I mean, I was up on my feet. It was just extraordinary. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I cannot do this by myself. And I would like for the chairperson who orchestrated all of this, Sarah Geneva Woodard, to come back on the stage, please. She has been my right hand, along with the Vassily Council. Will you stand? all the presidents, the past presidents, please stand. I have a few on the stage. Thank you, Sarah, Geneva, and the past presidents. Thank you, thank you, thank you. They are my mentors, and I really appreciate all that you have done. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Since the president introduced the former bachelor of presidents for Gamma Zeta Omega, I would like to make notice of mention of a couple who are not here. One of them is Maria Jerkins, and she would be here if she could. And the other one is one that all of you know and is well known throughout the nation, and that's Frederica Wilson, who is a congressman and is doing the work of the United States of America while we sit here. So I wanted to mention that because we're very proud of her, and she is a former president.
Thank you. Thank you. And it is so fitting that we're here at Florida Memorial University this afternoon. Last night we were here, we came to Florida Memorial to adopt the university, and it was so fitting that the president, Dr. Hardwick, they announced that he was the president on my way here last night, and I was just jumping for joy. I was so happy, so it's so fitting to be here this evening. I ask each of you to continue to commit to demonstrating your leadership skills and volunteering throughout our communities as we serve. Remember our national theme, exemplifying excellence through sustainable service, led by our very own Sister Glenda Glover, our international president. Thank you for all you do to ensure that Alpha Kappa Alpha continues to remain supreme in service to all mankind. God bless all of you, and I hope you a safe journey this afternoon home. Will all the members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated please stand at this time to sing the national hymn. I'm not a singer. Through the years as we struggle with pain and with pride to capture a vision there is one thing that stirs us to victory's heights, the fellowship sincere and rare. Oh, Alpha. all for supporting us. Have a good evening.
Keep up! So many pretty girls around me in the back. Keep up! Why you mad? Fix your face. Keep up out there, my jacket. Keep up! It's on there. Come on, push up. Keep up to the moon. Girl, what y'all trying to do? 20 low carrot magic in the air. It's just okay. Keep up!
So many pretty girls around me and they're waking up the rocket. Keep up! Why you mad? Fix your face. Ain't my fault they all be jocking. Keep up! Players only. Come on, put your pinky rings up to the moon. Hey girls, what y'all trying to do? What you trying to do? 24 karat magic in the air. Head to toe so clear. Look out! Everywhere I go, they be like,